Welcome to everybody who's joining and dialing in. I can see
Welcome, everyone.
some of our newest members joining. Actually, there's some names I recognise of people that have joined in the last few days. So welcome. I don't know if this is your first webinar with us, but welcome if so. We'll give it a couple of minutes before we get fully into the depths of the session.
So we always do this thing. This is an EX-based thing where we ask where you're dialing in from. So the new folk on the call, if you could find the little chat facility at the bottom of your screen and join in the conversation there. Tell us where you're dialing in from today. I should say we have a prize for the most exotic, but we don't. But you'll have the glory anyway. Central Illinois, brilliant. Charlotte. Buffalo, big US contingent. That's great. Kenilworth, near my hometown of Solihull. Hastings.
I'm in Kenilworth on Thursday, funnily enough.
Who are you? Any other offers? Does it get more exotic than Kenilworth, Hastings, and Central Illinois?
Buffalo, New York, Charlotte, North Carolina is pretty cool.
Fabulous.
Buffalo, New York's pretty cool.
Lovely Stoneleigh. I know it well, Philippa.
I wouldn't say there's much lovely in Stoneleigh at the moment, unfortunately.
Lots of grey and lots of rain and lots of puddles.
Absolutely.
How are we doing, Katie? Is it worth leaving it another minute or so, or should we get going?
I think we can get going. Yeah, no worries.
Fantastic. So as always, we're recording this webinar. So there'll be a mix of people watching that are watching it on demand, and for you folk here today, live. Those of you that are live today, please join in the conversation. Use the chat facility as we're going to ask any questions, make any observations, and we'll check that throughout the webinar. And then we'll also have time at the end of the session for questions and conversation. So I'm absolutely delighted. My name's Lee Smith, by the way. I should introduce myself first. We've got Emma and Katie also from the EX Space team on the call. And I'm delighted to be hosting today the awesome duo that is Philippa and Desiree from AGCO, a big global manufacturing organization focused on agricultural machinery in the main. Philippa, I think you'll tell us a little more about the organization shortly. But we love a great case study at the EX Space. We love it so much we actually created a dedicated area within the platform called the X Files. You can see what we've done there. There's no Gillian Anderson, I'm afraid, unfortunately, but it's still a pretty cool area. And today's webinar is really focused on that. We call it the X Files Live. It's really a case study focused session today, rather than one focused on a book or anything theoretical. This is real life stuff, and we're going to look at how AGCO have completely overhauled the way that they do onboarding across the organization. And I love this case study. I think you will do too. You'll get a lot from this. It's really about how to be genuinely human centric. So really put people at the heart of onboarding. So bring that EX mindset into onboarding. And onboarding, of course, is an area where often organizations' journey into EX begins there. So this is a really compelling one. But also, and I think equally importantly, what Philippa and her team have done is really utilize technology, particularly the Microsoft tech stack, which again is something we're really passionate about here at the EX Space at the moment. How you utilize the tech that perhaps you're already sitting on. You know, we don't have to go out and buy shiny new toys. We often in organizations through Microsoft have this incredible plumbing that already exists that we can take full advantage of. So I love that this case study brings all of that stuff to life, and I think you will get as much out of it as I have. I should say this is the first of a couple of webinars that we've got focused on onboarding. I'll flag up the next one in the series at the end of the session. But really we're doing some other work, and we've got some other content and resources that we're working on that we'll launch for our members shortly around onboarding. but a massively important area. And so without further ado, Philippa, Desiree, if I can hand over to you to do the introductions.
Thanks so much, Lee. Hi, everyone. We're delighted to have been invited by the EX space to share our onboarding journey with you today. And I think if we can move to that next slide. Oh,
There we
there
go.
we go. And we can move forward from here, please. Perfect.
Wonderful.
Philippa.
Super. Thanks, Desi. Again, thank you very much, EX Space, for inviting us along. As I think we shared, I'm based in Warwickshire. Lee had the dubious pleasure of sitting next to me. I think it was Qualtrics London where we met, Lee, if my memory serves me correctly. So with a shared passion for employee experience. I head up global employee experience for AGCO, based in leafy Warwickshire, rainy Warwickshire. I think a lot of us, a lot of extreme weather going on in our world at the moment. As you can see here, I am, well, primarily wife, mum, teenage boys, animal keeper, not zoo, all the stuff you can read on the screen. And I am an absolute clumsy buffoon in my private life, and managed to drop a whole bowl of pasta on the floor last night, which I was trying to serve myself up and failed miserably, but never mind. But work life, I am passionate about people, culture, creating great experiences. And you can see some of my main responsibilities here. There's a lot of focus on employee experience and engagement at AGCO. It's a huge investment for our organisation. We see our people as our greatest asset, and you can see some of the responsibilities I have here. I've been with AGCO about 4 years. I had a spell in the Middle East for about 3 years, but I've got senior level experience with FTSE 100 companies in the areas as highlighted on the screen. But I could do none of this without the wonderful Desi.
Thanks so much, Philippa. I'm Desiree Becker. I'm the program manager for global employee experience at AGCO, and I live in central Illinois in the United States, surrounded by corn and soybean fields. You can see here on the screen, but you'll probably see me pick it up too. I am coffee obsessed. I love starting every Friday morning with my kids, enjoying a good sprinkled donut. And in my free time, I enjoy coordinating the chaos for my husband and our 4 children. I get to live out my dreams every day by combining my love of data and people to help create amazing employee experiences at AGCO. And then in my free time, I love teaching dance to tiny humans at night. I'm Philippa's EX partner. You could say that she's the peanut butter to my jelly, the peas to my carrots, the Batman to my Robin. But if you can't tell, we like to have a lot of fun together and make a difference in what we're doing. I serve as a master culture champion at AGCO, so I'm trying to help drive positive change in our culture. I've been here for about 10 years, and I have significant experience in talent management, talent acquisition, project management, and just dealing with people.
Wonderful. Thanks, Des. I think we can just do a quick highlight on what AGCO is all about. I'm sitting in the office at the moment. As Lee said, we are a global leader in the design, manufacture and distribution of agricultural solutions. We work tirelessly to help make today's farms and farmers more productive and more profitable. We have a shared purpose of farmer-focused solutions to sustainably feed our world. And we also have some impressive statistics, and I'll say it myself. So record 2023 net sales, you can see here on the screen, of $14.4 billion. In 2023, our R&D investment was $549 million. That's about 3.8% of net sales. That shows our commitment to be the trusted partner for industry-leading smart farming solutions. We've got around 25,000 employees at year end, and some of the world's best known brands within ag. And we're also fortunate that we often get to drive these wonderful machines. So here in Stoneleigh, we've got a big training centre. So we've got some Fence and Massey Fergusons and vouchers kicking around at the moment. So that's always great fun. Next slide, please.
And we're going to gallop through this next section because you all know why EX matters, but we wanted to share with you how we approach it at AGCO. The world of work is really going through its most monumental shift since the Industrial Revolution. From the way remote working changed the physical connection between colleagues to the entry of Generation Z into the workforce, who want their work experience to be as seamless as the one they have with Amazon or Netflix. It all brings a whole new set of expectations. Every facet of work is changing. And this is now a business imperative. The direct impact of this on the bottom line is obvious, linking to productivity and profitability, as well as employee retention and hiring. But before we move forward, we'd love to start with the definition. As cited in a recent article in the Harvard Business Review, EX is defined as the sum of everything an employee undergoes throughout his or her connection to an organization, from the first contact as a potential hire to last touch points after the end of employment. But there's more. It requires a holistic, focused, and purposeful approach, but most companies design and manage EX as a set of basic elements of employment, like flexible work arrangements, rewards and recognition programs, and wellness initiatives. And that mode of thinking is outdated. Today's employee experience is created through the overall company culture and all the in-between moments that matter, from onboarding to exit. And today we're excited to share with you how we've been able to enhance employee experience in the onboarding process at AGCO and the impact that employee experience has on customer experience. And now we can find out some more.
Absolutely, thanks, Des. So this is we live and die by this slide actually here at AGCO. So this is how great EX delivers as engaged employees who take pride in delivering exceptional customer experiences. I think in our last global survey, we had about 88% of all employees said they were proud to work for AGCO. It's a really important metric for us. We have a great cultural framework that we wrap around everything. And then, so when you've got, employees that take that pride in delivering those exceptional customer experiences that reinforce our brand promise from purchase to replacement, then customers have those exceptional experiences and appreciate the value of our solutions, what we do, and the value they deliver. And that in turn makes employees even more proud. So it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. And then, so when you've got all that, everyone's happy and you're delivering great EX, which delivers great CX, then customers will become more loyal, which in turn leads to stronger financial results. So that means that we can invest in our employees and that drives engagement, and it's a wonderful circle. So I think it's just an important slide for us, and it's just for us. We have three major, we call them North Stars. They're actually down the south at the bottom. So we have a metric around our Net Promoter Score, our employee engagement, and our return on net assets. And you can see how these all very, very nicely link with our CX and EX focus at AGCO. Des.
So we wanted to just show you here on the next slide some facts and figures from Gallup's State of the Global Workplace report, along with some data from the Qualtrics XM Institute. And this really just highlights the organizational value of employee experience. And what we love is that we here at AGCO can see that having an exceptional employee experience and a greater customer experience really does truly lead to increased profitability across the organization. And it has a lot of other rewards by focusing on EX, whether it's increased productivity, improved well-being. We're just trying to make a difference in every area that we can.
Absolutely, Des. If we pop onto the next slide, a lot of what we do is based on data. So we take all of the data. I mean, obviously we work with people like Gartner and Gallup and all those sorts of organizations, but because of our big investment in listening, we have a lot of data that we can run correlations, looking at Net Promoter Score, looking at our total case incident rate, which is safety, and looking at diversity. And these are just some of the sort of generic but very proven correlations that we're finding. So that's why EX matters. Employee engagement has a direct impact on these key metrics for AGCO. So that's why it's so super important. Next slide, please.
So now we understand why EX matters, and we wanted to share with you how we are winning at EX at AGCO. And if we move to the next slide.
There it is. So
Yeah.
another one of our cornerstones, Des, isn't it? So this is, I think this is recent research, fairly recent from Qualtrics. So I think it's fair to say, you know, over the past sort of 4 to 5 years, has been a time of enormous change. Employees are restructuring their relationship with work. That's a fact. And these trends are showing up across multiple research resources. I'll start with the first, I'll go to the left. Just looking at instilling confidence. Employees want to know that they're sailing a successful ship. I do apologise, we've got the wrong slide in here. It says dealership, so it's not a dealership, but we did actually talk to dealers about this. But it's still the same message. You want to know that the organisation you're working for is secure, you're going to get paid every month. And also it's about setting boundaries. I think, you know, employees have been operating at surge levels for many, many years, and now they're sort of reclaiming some of those boundaries. Des, over to you for the other two.
Thank you. So the other two things that employees are really focused on, and we've seen this at AGCO as well, is that employees want bad processes to be fixed. So they want smooth, seamless, efficient systems so that it can help reduce employee burnout and make their work lives easier. And then last but not least, and one thing that we really focus on here at AGCO is ensuring that our employees have a true sense of purpose, a feeling of personal accomplishment in the work they're doing, and that their value system aligns with AGCO's.
I think we've got our pyramids coming up. We love a pyramid at AGCO. This is we've got 4 pyramids here. So these are our 4 cornerstones underpinning, trying to get my teeth in, any successful EX strategy. We see it that way. I think culture and EX are essential to each other's success. And then a great company culture, it says here, that's that great employee experience. Great employee experience reflects and fuels a great company culture. So that's it's this great sort of, again, a continuous sort of circle of improvement and joy if you get it right. Des, over to you for connections.
So connections are incredibly important to us, and you'll see that we've made that a key part of our onboarding solution that we've recently built. But recent research from Gallup says that along with employees being 7 times more likely to be engaged in their jobs, they're also better at engaging customers and producing higher quality work when they have connections in the workplace.
Absolutely. And again, part of our onboarding, we'll do a deep dive in a second. I promise we're getting there, the meat and the sandwich, what we've dialed in for. But that connection starts even before day one. You know, many of our markets are super competitive. And, you know, the sort of from yes to desk, you know, sometimes you get some attrition. People don't actually even turn up. Doesn't happen often, but we are making sure that we're starting to form connections even before the new hire starts and walks through the door on day one. And we'll talk about that in a second.
Yeah, so along with building a positive work environment, trust, and boosting productivity, communications accurately convey information while maintaining and or improving human relationships and a sense of belonging.
Absolutely. And then with all of that, the final C is actually core data. It's a bit of a fudge. It's actually listening. So that's the insights piece. So as well as understanding what we're doing right or wrong, with this data, a company can also improve its workplace culture, give its employees more opportunity for advancement, and ultimately improve long-term retention. All very, very important, obviously, across the employee life cycle. Next slide, please. I said we gallop.
Yeah. So to win at EX, we really need to think differently, and we need to think of employees as our customers and cultivate them. We need to cultivate talent to deliver that all-important, stellar employee experience to deliver the organizational benefits we have highlighted.
Absolutely. So here, this is just kind of through the lens of the employee. You know, we feel, you know, I want to apply for a job. You know, it's easy to find. You know, we've just done a lot of work with our employer brand. Actually, it's one of the areas we're responsible for. You know, they feel welcomed and engaged all the way around. You know, I feel proud. You know, I feel connected. You know, I can learn on the job. And these are just some of the main moments that matter across the employee life cycle. There's a bit more granular detail. And then it's all underpinned with that commitment to building our winning culture with our clearly defined 3 North Stars that we referenced earlier, and then focus on communications, focus on connections, because we are pack animals after all, and that commitment to employee listening to deliver continued improvement. And what we talk about a lot is employee-driven business change. We ask employees, what they want, and we respond to that. So that's a huge area of focus for us at AGCO.
Now we're really getting to what everyone came for, and that is a moment that truly matters.
Absolutely. And that moment is onboarding. So when I came into this role at AGCO, our wonderful CHRO, Ivory Harris, said, fix onboarding and fix it fast. And when Ivory speaks, we tend to do things very, very quickly. She's wonderful. So we did have multiple sites around the world, and some locations were doing, I think, a great job on onboarding. I think it's fair to say, Des, wasn't it? But some needed just a little bit more help. There was also a lot of duplication of effort, costing time and money and all those sorts of awful things. And in addition, we didn't sort of have a consistent approach. And as a global organization, we needed that very much. So I'll just let Des highlight what we've got on the screen here as to why we went down this journey.
Yeah, so when we began this journey to enhance our onboarding process, we wanted to create a vision to act as our guide as we moved forward, because onboarding really is one of the most important moments that matters to employees. So we've designed and launched a global solution to attract, delight, and retain talent at AGCO across the employee lifecycle by focusing on and defining a globally calibrated onboarding process, enabling inspired and productive employees to deliver an exceptional employee experience, supported with that best-in-class tech stack, so that we can drive the moments that matter and deliver continual improvement.
Absolutely. Next slide, please, Katie. Thank you very much. So this looks busy, but bear with us. So with onboarding made easy. So one of our cultural beliefs, I don't think you can see them here, slightly hidden away. We've got 3 cultural beliefs of farmer first. We put the farmer at the heart of everything we do. Team up and speak up. I don't know why I'm reading them. I know them. They're ingrained in my soul, in our souls. But one of the cultural belief here is team up. So we worked with our stakeholders to create personas and employee journeys to create, I guess, what we'd call a utopian onboarding experience. And to do that, we knew we needed that compelling tech stack that Des just mentioned. So we have some amazing platforms at AGCO. Some of them you'll recognize, some of them you won't. But we have SAP SuccessFactors is our HRIS. We have MS365. We were terribly nervous about today because it's Zoom. We don't understand it, but it's fine. It's working so far. Touch wood. We have Qualtrics, which is our listening platform. And we also have First Up, which is our employee engagement platform, which is essentially our global communications. And that's built on Amazon Web Services. So there's like auto translate, does lots of amazing things. You can target, you can segment, and it's like 1,000 tune in your pocket, as Steve Jobs once said, but without having sort of a flood of information. It's targeted to the employee because it's based on EC data. Des, over to you. I'll let you just talk about some of the personas we did.
Yeah, absolutely. So we didn't only want to focus on the experience of the new hire, but we also wanted to enhance the experience for our HR managers and our hiring managers. So we have 3 personas here: Hugo Rogers, who is our HR business partner, Natalie Hughes, our new hire, and Harrison Matthews, our hiring manager. You see what we did there?
Yeah. We're very proud. That's a bit we're really proud of, that the names.
It took more time than we'd like to admit, but it works.
And I think it's a journey here, from seamless flow of data in SuccessFactors, freeing up time, delighting new hires, without sort of copious form filling. It's almost like, the data, once it's in, it flows through, introducing them to our internal platform on I mentioned the engagement one is called Our Field internally. That's the First Up platform. But we have an external facing arm of that called Your Field, and that's full of useful but non-confidential information about our organization. I think the best thing to do with all these personas and employee journeys you can see on the screen, I think the point is we did underpin everything with automation, integration, and hyper personalization from the get-go. That was really important to Des and I. And to bring this all to life, I think we can now, or to life, we can now cross over to the studio for a news flash that Desi delivered to our stakeholders when we launched earlier this year. Des.
Thanks, Philippa. Yes, that's right. Exciting developments here at AGCO with the launch today of AGCO Passport to support new hires with their onboarding journey. Onboarding is one of the most important moments that matter across the employee lifecycle, and the stats on the screen speak for themselves. Research by Brandon Hall Group found that organizations with a strong onboarding process improve new hire retention by 82% and productivity by over 70%. Let's take a closer look at some of the anticipated features and benefits of AGCO Passport. First, and at offer accepted stage, we have a new pre-hire portal accessible via a simple link. It's full of useful and non-confidential information about AGCO, along with a welcome message from our own CHRO, Ivory Harris. It's designed to make new hires feel welcomed even before they walk through the door on day one. Once our new hires have their Employee Central profiles created, that will trigger an inspiring set of automated and personalized emails set to run over 4 weeks. The emails contain valuable content to help new hires get up to speed with our organization and immediately feel connected with welcome messages and videos from some of our most senior stakeholders.
Welcome to AGCO.
One of the best innovations is the concept of collecting passport badges as content is consumed. New hires can earn as they learn. Thanks to integration points between First Up and Microsoft 365, as content is consumed, the relevant badges magically appear overnight and the new hire's own personalized passport, which lives in the Microsoft Teams channel Neon, our new employee onboarding network. Thanks, Philippa. Yes, that's right.
There we go.
Exciting
We love you so much, Des. We don't need to see it again.
No, we don't.
So I hope that gave you a flavour as to what we've done at AGCO. It's something we're pretty proud of. It's on a journey. It's not like you deliver onboarding and say, right, we've done that. That's it. We can just go and do something else now. We're continually evaluating it, looking at the back end analytics, adjusting workflows, making sure that it's relevant. And that's a really important part of it. So I think the slide we just got on here on the screen, these are sort of all the different components. It all looks a bit complicated, but I think the point is it all sort of works together. There is a lot of stuff in 365 that we've actually utilized. I mean, Barney, our icebreaker bot, that's a power app, I think it is, Des. I think it's a power app, isn't it? That we've worked with our IT team. So he sends out catch up, I think the first Tuesday of every month. He matches up new hires across the world, who might not necessarily have a touch point. They might be in different functions. Perhaps you've got some people in Massey in finance and some people in Fent in marketing, but they'll match them together, and that's a great way to forge connections. And then we have the Neon piece is a really important component. But I think just the badges, we wanted a kind of gamification piece with all of this. We wanted it to be fun. Of course, we've got the compliance-led training that we have to do, around cybersecurity, around safety. Those are all really, really important to AGCO. So we work really closely with stakeholders, across our learning and development teams to make sure that, the compliance side is done. And a lot of that automates out of our HRIS. But this is the fun bit. So making sure that new hires, feel welcomed from day one, and they've got the tools to get them up to speed and productive fast. I think we're going to take a bit of a deeper dive on Neon, Des.
Yeah, we sure are. So if we move to the next slide, and this looks a little bit busy, but we just wanted to have an open conversation about how we're working to engage with our new hires around the globe. So we created Neon, our new employee onboarding network, to help build connection to new hires in the organization. And within Neon, it's a Microsoft Teams channel. We're not only AGCO Passport, which we just saw in my very terrible acting, lives, but Barney, our icebreaker bot, also lives there. And it's also the platform where we host virtual monthly get-togethers featuring subject matter experts and leaders from across AGCO. So we host 2 of those a month to ensure that we're hitting all of our time zones and engaging as many employees as possible. New hires are added daily to this Teams channel, and we split them into cohorts by month so that we can create more authentic and genuine interaction with them. So whether it's sharing a bit of information about ourselves, or highlighting a holiday that's coming up, or engaging in conversation about activities that they enjoy, we are doing what we can to embrace our new hires as they join the organization and provide them with a network.
Exactly. And what's been really good actually is just the engagement of our leaders. You know, they say culture starts with leadership, and we're lucky that we have great leaders at AGCO. So we've had some super senior leaders come in to Neon, and it's a great opportunity to not only just learn more about the business, but to ask these leaders questions direct, to understand, you know, what we're doing as an organization, what sets us apart from the competition, all those sorts of things. So the other side of it is making sure that we're talking about this internally. Sorry, Katie, we can go to the next slide. So we've just done a lot of work on refreshing our employer brand. If you're not following AGCO, please do on LinkedIn. We'll share out the link somewhere if we can work out how to use the chat. We're not very good. But we've done a lot on sort of promoting AGCO Passport, just making sure, you know, we've got posters up around, you know, about Neon, you know, don't forget your passport, all those sorts of things. And making sure that we've got our employees actually registered into our field, which is our employee engagement platform. Again, that triggers automatically, you know, once they're in on day 1, they get an invitation to join. When we brought that in, crikey, when was it, Des? About 4 years ago, something like that. We had so many communication channels. We didn't know whether we were Arthur or Martha. So we've shut all those down. We've got a great communications VP, Rachel Potts, who has transformed the way in which we communicate at AGCO. And we work really closely, you know, in partnership with our communications team. So they've been a big component to the success of this, and making sure that we've got the right platforms, and also our digital employee experience team. So we're employee experience. So we'll sit and noodle up stuff and say, hey, what about if we do this? And then we'll toodle over and knock on the door of digital employee experience. And I go, oh God, it's them again. And they'll say, can we have this? Is it possible? And then they'll say yes or no. And thankfully they've said yes to a lot of the stuff we've come with, because we're also leveraging the platforms that we've got. You know, it's about getting the most out of your investment, and sometimes we just don't realize what our platforms can do. So that's just sort of a bit of a takeaway that Des and I had when we went on this journey.
Yeah, and I think to go along with that, Philippa, and one thing that I'd love to highlight about AGCO Passport is that the passport functionality and the badging wasn't native to Microsoft Teams, and it certainly wasn't something that First Up, our employee engagement platform, had either. So we went to Microsoft, our digital employee experience team went to Microsoft and said, please help us make this work. And Microsoft supported us in working with an organization called Changing Social to create an environment where our passport badges live. And so we were truly able to pioneer something in this space in partnership with Microsoft and First Up and Changing Social to bring our vision to life. And I think that's so cool. It was thinking outside of the box. And I think next we're hoping to be able to really tie that in eventually to our rewards and recognition platform, which is another functionality, right? So it's bringing it all together to create that cohesive experience.
Absolutely. And then I think the last slide in our deck, if I'm not mistaken. So listening. we've talked a lot about listening. We have 3 main buckets, we call them, for our listening strategies. So we have the global, that's our global survey that typically runs in sort of November. And that really gives us the sort of overall temperature of the organisation. And then we have pulsing, against sort of engagement, some of our engagement drivers, do that sort of 2 or 3 times a year. And then we have life cycle surveys, and I'll let Des talk about these life cycle surveys, as she is the whiz of Qualtrics. Des.
Well, we wouldn't be able to do what we do with listening without support from the Qualtrics platform and also our implementation partner, Walker. So with their support, all employees receive a onboarding survey at 30 days post-hire date. And from that, we're able to understand and continually improve the onboarding experience. And so you can see here at the bottom of the screen, we're asking employees how onboarding made them feel. We really like feelings at AGCO. And you can see here that we've had a lot of employees state that they feel welcomed, excited, and inspired. And this is really backed up by the behind the scenes data and analytics that we can see in the First Stop platform to view overall engagement with AGCO Passport. So the content that employees are receiving straight to their email or through push notification to their phone to help them onboard into AGCO. And it is mostly a favorable experience here. And that's something that we're really excited about because enrollment in First Up is not mandatory or compulsory. And so employees are voluntarily registering and engaging with the AGCO Passport program.
Absolutely. And it is our single source of truth for news. So there's nowhere else to go. But so we're kind of not, you know, we've developed this platform that it just makes sense. You know, if you want to understand what's happening, not just in the wider AGCO, but in your site, in your region, then First Up is the place to go. So, well, we hope you found that useful. We hope we kept to time, Lee, Katie, Emma. Do let us know if we're happy to take any questions. And the sun's come
Fantastic.
out. Amazing.
Thank you both so much. I think that, as I expected and knew it would be, a fantastic case study. I love that it joins the dots between, you know, culture, comms, the tech side of things, which is absolutely fantastic, and not just making the most of the kind of Microsoft plumbing that was already there, but actually really innovating. I love the Barney the bot, the matchmaker Barney, fantastic. And the gamification bit I think is genius as well, and that you had to go outside to kind of knit that together, just brilliant. I'll get the ball rolling with some questions. I think the audience have been a little shy today, so hopefully we'll get a few through on chat as well, but I'm sure both Emma and Katie have got many up their sleeve as well. But I'm going to hog it for a couple of questions if I may. So first of all, it sounds to me, you know, like you've been given an awful lot of scope and bandwidth to really get your teeth into this area. And I think, you know, not specifically around onboarding, but Philippa, have you guys had to work hard to kind of convince your senior stakeholders that, you know, EX is worth this level of investment? Or are you just gifted with those sort of leaders that just get this area and are happy to kind of follow your lead? I'd just be really interested in your thoughts around that, the kind of the journey really to get to this point, to be given the blessing and the investment and the ability to get stuck into a project in such a holistic way.
So good question. I can kick it off. So we are super fortunate at AGCO that we have senior leaders, well, all our leaders, but from our CEO Eric Hansodia to Ivory Harris, our CHRO, across all of the SLT, it's about 10, 11 members of the SLT. They are all fully committed to culture and employee engagement because they recognise the importance of it and some of the points that we highlighted earlier. We talk a lot about empowering people at AGCO. There's a lot of trust in our employees. So obviously we have to deliver, but we are focused on delivering value for the organisation, and most of all delivering exceptional employee experiences for for our talent worldwide. And a lot of that is based on the data. So there is investment here. We invest in our culture framework that started back in, when was that, Des? 2022. As Des highlighted, she's one of our master culture champions. We nurture these individuals. They have a core role to play in cascading our culture throughout the organization. We invest in communication platforms. We invest in listening platforms. So we're making sure that we're doing the right things. There's no point just sort of going in and saying, well, this is what we think it should be. We need the voice of our employees to understand, and then we can play that back to leadership. That's very important. And that's how you continually improve.
Can I jump in there with my question, because it follows on quite nicely, if I may be so boldly? You say about getting the voice of the employees, and I'm guessing lots of different stakeholders involved in an onboarding experience. You mentioned, for example, communications team playing a key part. I'm just really interested to know to kind of how it got you to this fantastic approach that you've ended up with. How did you kind of get there from that particular insight that you gathered? Was there a particular process you went through to get to this point?
I think it was, well, a lot of it was the employee journeys, wasn't it, Des?
I think so. And this was actually a project Philippa and I, in a previous life at AGCO, started together. And so it's really grown from there out of a need, not only that we're hearing from our employees, but also our HR business partners and hiring managers. And so by creating those employee personas and looking at the journey, we could identify where the pain points were. That also came from some pre-existing onboarding survey data that we had too. So we were able to take the voice of the employee and analyze that and implement these various strategies to help fill in the blanks.
That's absolutely right. And we had lots of focus groups. You know, we tested it. We do sessions with different stakeholders. So looking at it through, talking to new hires coming in, how was it? Getting their feel. Sometimes it's like, well, it was rubbish. My computer wasn't here. So I was like, okay, why wasn't your computer here? So you got all these different aspects to think about, because at the end of the day, you need your equipment, you need to be set up, you need to be ready to be productive, but you also need to be nurtured. You need to have the right information delivered to you. And it needs to be, we've got a real commitment to diversity here at AGCO. So, making sure that we're speaking the right languages, that we're feeding the right information at the right time. I mean, Des and I use the statement of meeting our audience where they are. So, across all those different touch points, across the onboarding process, we knew that they would go in to have access to SAP. Why would we go off and fly our own kite and do something when, we're investing significant amounts of money in platforms that are available to us? So it's really leveraging them to the best of their advantage and bringing them to the fore to truly deliver sort of onboarding made easy. That was kind of like our mantra, and there's lots of stats, it's like, employers decide whether to stay or go within the first 90 days, and it can just, big driver for attrition, all that data we had. So, I mean, we went around scaring a lot of people, saying, you've got to get it right. So, but that helped, so we kind of, again, we based a lot of what we did on data. We don't just sort of float it up. We're quite sensible.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think that leads into maybe some of the questions that I see popping up in the chat that dive a little bit further into our listening strategy and how we're evaluating the overall success of our employee experience program. And one thing that we are always proud and love to share is that our employees have no problem speaking up and sharing their voice across our listening strategy, whether that be a lifecycle survey, a pulse survey, or a global survey, where we had well over 80% participation last year. And with a workforce that is about 50% shop floor manufacturing based and 50% office based, we were truly ecstatic about that participation rate. And so we're measuring the success of our EX program and employee engagement based on a few particular questions in our employee listening strategy. I don't know that we want to probably give all of those away here, and I think Qualtrics probably owns a little bit of that as well, but we're measuring engagement. It focuses on, you know, some NPS, like would you recommend working at AGCO, and then just how they feel in general. Are they accomplishing, do they have that sense of personal accomplishment? Do they feel like they belong, and a few other things. And I know we shared on a slide in the deck as well, we have been tracking the correlations between employee experience and customer experience. And we just got back our most recent pulse survey just closed. And we can continue to see that correlation grow between employee experience and positive customer experience. And so that lets us know that we're moving in the right direction.
Absolutely. So I can pick up a couple more questions in the chat. So Lisa, I hope I said that right, asked, you mentioned earlier a lot of locations doing different things, very similar to where we are now. Yeah, we know a story about that. Did managers at these locations provide any pushback on adoption? Do you still have location ownership customizations? That's a good question. So I think the point here is that we were doing a global onboarding program. So to deliver that globally calibrated approach, making sure that the right messages that were being delivered into the inboxes in a super hyper personalized way, that was really important. But of course, there are local onboarding activities that need to be done. So, you know, again, we built a lot of those into onboarding 2.0 and success factors. So those will trigger out with reminders, checklists, all those sorts of things that need to be done, the nuts and bolts. And also there's lots of, you know, we do have different initiatives across AGCO, like here in the UK. Our finance team are very focused on onboarding. They sort of have a get together. We have a big sort of, because we've got the huge training facility here. You can't see it out the window, sorry, I don't know why I'm pointing. But, you know, we can bring new hires in to actually experience, you know, driving a tractor, all those sorts of things. So it depends where you are. There are different things you can do. So we wouldn't just sit someone down and say, right, there's a computer, onboarding made easy, thank you very much. We do everything around it's the automation side of it, but there's got to be the human touch points as well. So that's really important. And then the question here from David Gray, how do you ensure managers feel supported during the onboarding phase? Again, that's a good question. I mean, we've done training on this, we've done launch webinars, we've done guidance notes. You know, we don't get it right the whole time. Sometimes it pushes back, you know, we have different peaks of trough as to where we're recruiting, where we're not recruiting, but it's making sure that we're actually listening to our stakeholders as we go through this process.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Go on, Lee.
Go on. I'd be really interested in you shedding a little bit more light on how you went about the kind of persona development piece, Philippa and Desi, and the kind of journey mapping piece. Did you do that in a sort of full-scale kind of design thinking way, or a bit more light touch? Can you shed a little bit more light on that piece for us?
We'd love to say that we did it all ourselves. So we work very closely with Gartner research. So there's a lot of guidance that we lent into on that. And then when we were doing the focus groups, it's like, you know, where are the main, I mean, we kind of knew from the get-go where we wanted to start with this. We knew what sort of personas we had on the table, but it was a journey they were going through. And the journey was very different across our regions, across our sites. So then we started looking at sort of what was working well, where were we seeing successes, where we had quick wins, and where we could actually lean into those. So that's where, you know, Des mentioned we started on this, Des and I, in a previous life at AGCO, you know, 2 or 3 years ago, where it was quite a Corinthian strung together with bits of string and glue, to where we are today. So it has evolved over a period of time. And sometimes it's just, you know, like managers would come to us and it'd be nice if we had that. And we go, oh yeah, that's nice. And we, you know, we have a saying, Des and I will take it, you know, we'll take that back to the lab and noodle on it. And sometimes, as I say, the noodling is good and throws up solutions. Sometimes it's not so easy. I think for us, it's being able to operate at scale. You know, it's got to be scalable in whatever we do. So, and it's got to be cost effective as well.
Yeah, absolutely. 140 countries is huge, isn't it? And lots of complexity across that. Thank you. Richard stole my next question, so I'll kind of mold the two together. You know, obviously you've kind of mapped out a whole range of moments that matter, and you know, in many ways you kind of got started with onboarding and done a fantastic job there. What's next on your radar? And to Richard's question, you know, where are you taking EX more broadly over the next 5 years? What's next?
That's a good question. Des, do you want to jump in, or I can jump in?
I can certainly try. So I think for us at AGCO, it's continuing to identify those key moments that matter with additional employee journey mapping to highlight areas where we can continually drive improvement in the employee experience. But for us, we have a phenomenal listening strategy. We have so much data that we've been able to collect. And so now we're turning to that data to ask us to help guide us in determining where we can take a more proactive approach to engaging our employees and helping them grow and develop. So I think grow is a common word that we use at AGCO. It relates to our industry. It relates to what we want to help farmers do and what we want to really help employees with. And so we'll take that listening data, I think, to be proactive, to help employees grow and to help the organization. That's really general statement, but I think the sky is the limit here for us.
I think you're absolutely right, Des. For us, it's making sure that we are attracting and retaining and delighting talent across the employee life cycle. And there are many different ways you can do that. But it does come down to fully understanding our customers, our employees, as to what their requirements are and where there might be pinch points and where we can look to resolve those. We're super focused on tech at AGCO, whether it's in our tractors, our combines, our products, and also, you know, how we work day to day. So it's delivering a sort of, you know, we mentioned earlier, we do want those interactions to be as seamless as those we might have with Amazon or Netflix. Are we there right now? Not yet, but we're working hard to get there. And I think that's, for us, the sort of big focus area, so that it just runs absolutely smoothly and that there's a sense, you know, employees, if they take the time to speak up, I should move my camera, you can't see it. If they take the time to speak up, I think you can. Well, there it is. There we are. Farmer first, team up, speak up. Sorry, I'm making everyone feel giddy now. Then we have to respond to that. It's, you know, we talk a lot about, you know, respect, you know, treating each other with kindness, a culture of caring. All of that is really, really important. So the EX space is super linked to culture. It's super linked to communications. So we're delivering and to total rewards. You know, different aspects of our organization own different things. We always liken ourselves to minister without portfolio. You know, we have a lot that we own within EX, but we also work really closely with our well-being leads, with our comms leads, with our total rewards leads, to make sure that we're not just delivering internally. And this comes back actually to the employer brand that we've just done a huge project on. That's been 12 months long. The employer brand we've just refreshed. That's starting to show up across our channels. And it's the employer value proposition, our promise, that is really important. And that's our big sort of area of focus going over the next few months and beyond.
Super. Thank you. A few minutes left. So I think we had another question from David on how you prioritize the kind of problems. So, you know, getting stuck into something as big as onboarding, you can kind of start anywhere. How did you decide where to start? Was it more around kind of fixing pain points and broken processes, or is it kind of more experimenting with new and funky things like Barney?
Yeah, I think, oh, sorry, Philippa.
No,
Go
please,
ahead.
Des, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, so we were tackling both things simultaneously, right? We had the automating the processes that we needed to focus on, or the processes that were cumbersome for our hiring managers and for HR, and a little bit for new hires as well. But we also really wanted to focus on employee experience. So we worked on those things simultaneously. They didn't necessarily all go live at one time, but really enhancing that experience where possible, I think, was at the top of the priority list for us while we were working on enhancing processes. And truthfully, enhancing those processes is never done. So we may have just implemented this program, but I think Philippa mentioned it. We're already looking at what's next and how we can make the onboarding process even smoother for employees, new hires, or I'm sorry, for hiring managers, new hires, and human resources.
I think absolutely right, Des. I think there was a balance between sort of operational requirements and also the experience side of things. So we had to find that balance and see where there were, we talked a lot earlier about sort of quick wins. We could see what was happening across the organization. We have great partnership with Digital Employee Experience, so they could guide us. Des and I both sit in HR. Des has got more HR qualifications. You can shake a stick at. I have none. Not really quite sure what goes on day to day, but I'm quite good at colouring in and imagining things, so that helps. But I think for us, we had a vision. I think you've always got to start this with a vision of what good looks like, and then you can start playing that back to your stakeholders, and it gets refined, and you go back, and then you do a bit more noodling back in the lab, and then you go back again till you get to a point where there's, actually this is kind of what good looks like. But that it's like painting the fourth bridge. Sorry, that means nothing for our friends in the US and other places, but it's the Golden Gate Bridge, should I say, or the Brooklyn. I'll shut up. Right. Anyway, but what I'm saying is you're on a continual journey of improvement. So it goes back to those sort of foundation stones, the pyramids we talked about, the culture, the communications, all of that, the connections, the core data, that's really important.
Absolutely. It's an iterative thing. Last question, what would you have done differently now with the benefit of hindsight? Anything?
Oh, what would we have done differently, Des?
Oh, it's a great question. I think I don't know that we overcomplicated things, but I think if we could go back, I know we've streamlined some messaging, right? Some communication to new hires since we first started. And it was trying to just check all those boxes and not over communicate, but I think we've dialed that down a bit so that it's not overwhelming important communication.
Yeah, sometimes less is more. That was my old saying in my internal comms days, and it's so true, isn't it?
It really is, actually. I think I agree with that. I think it's, we didn't want to over engineer it. We haven't got it 100% right. It's a lot better than it was. But I think we're quite humble, us two. We don't sort of go around saying, "Oh, look at what we've done, isn't it amazing?" Because if you've got the graph show, there's still some in there saying actually it was a rubbish experience. So it's about converting the I didn't have a nice time to cheerleaders. So employee advocacy is important for us. We're trying to do a lot more around that next year. Once we sort of get the global survey out of the way, which is taking up a lot of our time at the moment, and the employer brand, but all of that is sort of interlinked. So there's touch points across, again, it's the life cycle and where it all sort of interacts in and how you actually knit it all together. And you don't want people seeing you're knitting it together. They just want to experience it and think, hey, this is okay. This is all right.
Absolutely. Brilliant. Well, look, we're just approaching the hour, so we'll wrap things up now. Thank you so much, both of you, for the X-Files live today. Both of you far better than Gillian Anderson, so I'm delighted that you were in the hot seat today. Great real world case study. So thank you so much. For members of the EX space, we'll have a kind of written case study that will go into this example in a bit more depth, that will be published on the platform in the coming weeks. So keep your eyes peeled for that. I mentioned earlier we have another webinar coming up, our next webinar, which is October the 17th. Katie, if I'm correct. 7th.
It's the 7th, Monday the 7th. I've put the details in the chat. Again, because
Wonderful.
it's such a hot topic at the moment, we're actually going to be talking onboarding again with we have got a special guest, Toby Sinclair, expert insights, talking about transforming onboarding. Slightly different spin on this one. We'll also be exploring some of the new tech coming up, like AI. So if this is something that is a hot topic to you, then you may want to join us on the 7th as well. So details are there in the chat.
Come and join in. It'd be great to see you again. I'll let you get back to it. It's unusual for us to do late on a Friday afternoon. I'm sure you've got homes to go to and things to wrap up before you head home, if that's soon. But thank you all for dialing in and investing your hour with us this afternoon. Much appreciated. Have a great rest of your day and weekend, and we'll see you again soon. Take care. Thanks, Philippa. Thanks, Desi.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Casey, for driving.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks for your
Cheers
engagement.
all.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Cheers. Bye-bye.